the best shooter games you'll never play, Splatoon 3. And I thought this one was interesting because it's 100% true. I have never desired to play Splatoon. I've been recommended Splatoon before, and I legitimately will not play it. I don't care. I don't have a reason to. So why? What's the reason?
When you think of shooter video games, I imagine something like this comes to mind. A military-based warfare-involving setting is what I would say if the majority.
Well, I was going to say, oh, there it is. Oh my God. Overwatch 2 Season 5 Twitch viewership, 93,000? Oh, it's when they brought back drops.
Majority of popular shooters on the market.
This happened at the beginning of the season, for sure.
Are actually starting to adopt more vibrant and modern settings. Games like Apex, Valorant, and Overwatch.
Yeah, we can tell that video. We can actually probably we can probably say the exact day that screenshot was taken. Probably the exact day is whenever the first day of the new season was.
Have overtaken games like COD, CSGO, and Rainbow Six Siege. And it shows that shooters don't have to be a gritty, grungy aesthetic. However, there's still one game that I wish more people gave a shot and didn't ignore. It's the most innovative and unique shooter on the market, and an absolute blast. Don't laugh, but it's Splatoon. Splatoon will never...
So, before I even say anything, it doesn't even matter if a game is innovative at this point, because I could look at a game like Titanfall and be like, that game was pretty damn innovative, you know, like with its movement and whatnot. And it's like, sometimes there's certain mechanics, even if they're super innovative, most gamers just will refuse. Or they'll get tired of it.
Mainstream. It just won't. It's a Nintendo game. It's too cartoony to appeal to the core shooter fan base. It's seen as a kid's game, and it's far too different from other shooter games. It's a shame a large number of people never even give it a chance, because despite how goofy it seems on paper, it genuinely is one of the most fun and innovative shooters ever made. Just imagine you're a fully grown adult, married, family of 4, and your wife walks in on you playing this.
Babe, what is this? Why are you wielding a gun that's shooting out colorful ink?
And then you, the Chad, go, because it's f***ing fun, okay?
Yeah, but then you're gonna play on a Switch.
Unfortunately, when people think of shooter games, the last console that they would consider is the Nintendo Switch. The console exclusivity is going to take a really big chunk out of Splatoon's possible player base for a couple of reasons. One, not everybody has a Switch. It may be the third best-selling video game console of all time, but with over 120 million units sold, that's still not everyone. But more importantly, the primary audience of shooter games is not the primary audience that has a Switch as a console. So it's more casual gamers that have the Switch.
Switch gamers are casual gamers.
Two,
mostly.
The hardware limitations. The Switch is from 2017, and when it came out, even then, it was a lot less powerful than something like a PS4 or an Xbox One. Fast forward to 2023, and this thing
isn't it still not as strong as even a PlayStation 3 or an Xbox 360 or an Xbox One? Like the original? No. Was it Xbox One? Or was it 360? I don't remember if it was... I thought it was PlayStation 3 was the benchmark. It's like barely behind a PS4 base model. Is it? It was claimed to be about as powerful as a PS3. I thought it was the PS3. I thought it was a generation behind the current generation. So PS4 and Xbox One doesn't make sense to me. I feel like it was closer to 3.
Basically begging on its hands and knees for a hardware upgrade.
What in the
PS5 and Xbox Series X are easily able to output 1440p 120 FPS visuals, and sometimes even up to 4K at that frame rate. For shooter games, FPS is extremely important, as it makes the game feel infinitely better to play.
I actually didn't know you could do 1440p on console these days.
With the Switch hard capped at 60 FPS, it really feels like we're stuck in the past. Most phones these days even offer 120 Hz displays, and the same goes for iPads and PCs.
Oh, it's an Android.
PCs, as well as the next gen console.
I was gonna say, wait a minute, I don't think my phone does that.
FPS on my PC to 60 on Splatoon just doesn't feel nice. A lot of people who play games these days demand high fidelity graphics and ultra smooth frame rates. And as far as the Switch is concerned, you just can't have that. You can't emulate this game either, since it's tied to Nintendo's online network. So if you're gonna bite the bullet, you better...
iOS has 120 now too? I have an iPhone 12. Probably not, huh? Actually, I need to get a new phone.
Be ready for a downgrade. And 3, it's just made by Nintendo, a company
I've been just living with it for now.
Considered to be for kids. They don't make mature games, and they don't cater to mature audiences. They're widely seen as a company just for kids, with the average Nintendo fan being very young or diehards who will defend their shitty decisions until the end of time. Their corporate side also sucks massive.
Oh man.
Taking down a YouTube video of your game for showing off mods? Are you insane? Taking down a fan-made Joy-Con project where the proceeds go to charity just because it says Joy-Con on it? Canceling an entire Smash tournament because people are using emulators? it's really not a good look. Combine this with how much they try and exploit people for money, with the barely functioning Nintendo Switch Online service, and the awful expansion pack. Just so many decisions that I will never understand. Despite the public reception of Nintendo these days, there's a reason that their games are tied.
What was that?
Decisions that I will never understand. Despite the public reception of Nintendo these days, there's a reason that their games are timeless and don't drop in value. Because they're fucking amazing. Nintendo is the name brand of video games. The Supreme, the Nike, the Apple. You get what I'm saying. They have made some of the most critically acclaimed games ever created, but they're a very old school company. It took Nintendo over 30 years after they started making video games to make a shooter. But honestly, the game that we got is nothing short of special, unique, and phenomenal. Splatoon.
I just realized we've already gotten like 4 minutes into this video and we haven't even talked about the Splatoon 1 like at all. See on the market today with a semi-dedicated fan base. Name me a shooter right now that has jellyfishes climbing up rocks in deserts. I'm sure Fortnite does somewhere.
Jokes aside though, while Splatoon looks extremely goofy at first, its distinguishability from other shooters is amazing. Instead of guns, you get ink-based weaponry, which you would assume is to keep the game kid-friendly, but more on that later. It's got super unique character designs with 2 forms, one for movement and another for using your weapons. I absolutely love the way that the Inklings and Octolings are designed, an incredibly good idea that works out perfect. The overall world is actually vibrant and bustling, unlike most shooters where you barely get to see what goes on outside of the stages. The art style of Splatoon is absolutely lovely to look at, and something I really wish we had more of in shooter games. You have an entire world with very deep lore, and everything
what in the
connects with each other. Another little thing that's nice about Splatoon is everything happens in universe. Want to go buy a new weapon? Well, you gotta walk to the store and buy it. Want to load into a match? Go to the arena and queue up. It's all intertwined into perfection. But the cartoony art style has its downside, and that's that the game is seen as strictly for kids. E for everyone. Think about that rating for a sec. Not E for kids, everyone. The game is for everyone. I get it. You play Call of Duty, or you just can't be seen playing a game suitable for younger audiences. Funnily enough, most kids these days are actually playing games that aren't rated for them. How many people who play COD actually...
I mean, that's not something that's... Come on now. I mean, COD 4 came out in 2007. I was born in 96, so I was 11. I was playing COD 4 at 11. I played the first, not the first ever Call of Duty because that was PC only, but like the first Xbox Call of Duty, then Big Red 1. What was the third one? I forget. It was the other World War II one. I played all of those when I was a kid. Like, ratings didn't really mean shit. The only thing I ever got in trouble for, and I've talked about this on stream, I got in trouble for some game that like said like really loud, and I was like 5 or 4. I was like 4 or 5. And I remember because it was my favorite game, and my mom and my dad gave it to his friend to hold on to until I was older, and then that fucker lost it.
We follow the
I'm still mad about it to this day. That little fucking bastard.
Younger. How many people play Fortnite who are even 13? It's kind of funny. The main reason I think Splatoon has adopted the whole kids-only mantra is
no, he 100% lost it because he was a goddamn fucking degenerate bum, and he tried to make it up to me by letting me play on his fucking my god, what was it before the Nintendo 64? It was like, actually it was a Nintendo 64 and something else, and I was like, this doesn't make up for it. Fuck you.
Part of its terrible advertising.
SNES, yeah.
Obviously, the game is aimed at a younger audience than other shooters, but that doesn't mean... Actually, no, sorry, it was
a Super Nintendo, my bad. It was a Super Nintendo.
The style of the game should be seen as a positive because it allows both younger kids and adults to get into the game. Because it's not kid-oriented enough to get to the point where it's unplayable for people over the dedicated audience, but it's also great for getting younger kids...
Oh, SNES is a Super Nintendo? Oh. Well, then that makes sense.
Into the shooter genre. There was a
I always knew it as a Super Nintendo growing up when I heard about it.
Reason the game has sold over 11 million copies in the 9 months it's been on the market, because despite the general perception that it's only for kids, it's still got a mature fan base, and the mature people who play this game have a damn good reason. It's incredibly fun. Movement shooter games these days are widely considered to be dead. Almost all of them are single player oriented, with the only real exception that's still alive is Apex Legends. With that,
for now,
Splatoon is currently the second most popular movement shooter on the market, a genre that people seem to want back. So I think it's time to break down Splatoon's best element.
No, they don't. No, they don't. People who want movement shooters back are the extremely hardcore fucking nerds. Say that as one. Friendly Fire. Splitgate's a great example. That game wasn't necessarily a movement shooter, but it had aspects of a movement shooter. Like constantly people would behind you, above you, coming out of fucking walls, right? I remember there was clips that were posted of like Splitgate 2, which by the way, that ended up coming out by the way, because like I actually got invited to go try that, like go play it early, and I declined. And they I think actually Aspen, I believe, went, and they showed off some like gameplay footage, and there was like a clip, like someone had like an insane clip, and like someone quote tweeted it, and it was like it went fucking mega viral. And it was like, the game isn't even out yet and there's already sweats farming clips. That's why this game will never make it anywhere, or something like that. And it was kind of fucking true. You can talk about sweats in Call of Duty, you can talk about sweats in Overwatch, you can talk about sweats in like whatever game, but like there's still a limit. Like they're not, unless they're like literally farming bot lobbies, you can't get away with that kind of stuff, you know?
The movement. In Splatoon,
casual games don't last. Casual players
form
don't last in games like
form.
this.
In kid form, you can
or
do normal
movement
things
shooter
like
games.
walk around, use your weapons, activate your special weapon, and walk across grates. But where Splatoon becomes a unique game is its swim form.
Soon.
You go from being a slow
Nice.
kid running around to a squid able to swim super quickly through the ink you've already laid down from your weapon in kid form, essentially making moving around the map not only effortless, but also satisfying and fun. The fact that your weapon isn't just a tool for killing, but also to paint up the map, charge your special, and deny area is extremely powerful. When in swim form, it also refills your ink tank. So when you're in kid form painting, you'll have more area to swim in, and the cycle keeps on going. Swim form also gives you the ability to swim up walls, meaning some maps have an extra layer of depth you'll always have to watch out for. And of course, like other movement shooters, there's a lot of tech and skill to build. Substrafes, squid rolls, dodge rolls on dually weapons that you can incorporate into a squid roll, and then substrafe into a dodge roll into a squid roll. You get the idea. The transition between these two forms is also instant, meaning you can easily launch yourself into a fight and then destroy everyone. Another thing is the limitations of each form. For example, in swim form, you can't cross grates, meaning there's even more depth to the system than just moving around, because some areas might give you an extremely good angle or advantage, but at the cost of not being able to move away quickly.
You know what's funny is I'm sitting here looking at all of this, and I'm like, wow, these are actually really cool features. Like genuinely, I've never thought about any of these in a game. Like, they actually sound really cool. I still have absolutely zero desire to ever play.
Or putting yourself into the open. And all of this joins together into a silky smooth and extremely fun movement system. One of the best in shooter games. Movement ties directly into the foundation of Splatoon, and without it, you are starting to lean into a reskin of a normal shooter. But we also still have to talk about the weapons. There are a total of 11 main weapon classes in Splatoon, with over 90 weapons in total. Not to mention the 14 sub-weapons and 17 special weapons. Oh, also, and the game is still being updated and more are being added. You go from the typical shooter to a fucking umbrella. Each of the 11 classes has one feature that makes them unique and their playstyle different. On dualies, you can do that sick-ass dodge roll to move around super clean. On umbrellas, you have a shield that you can use to completely block fire. Blasters fire AoE attacks that can make them hard to play around in some circumstances. Buckets have a projectile arc that can be flung around surfaces. You get the idea. It also helps that this game is extremely fast-paced. If you've got 20 minutes open, you can't exactly fit in a game of Valorant or maybe a game of Apex in that time. Splatoon, however, each match is only a...
But you can fit in a game of Overwatch, as long as the queue times aren't too long.
Max of 5 minutes, meaning you can probably fit in a solid 3 matches at least in that time. It also helps that the UI is extremely snappy and streamlined, and you can get to whatever you need to do really quickly. The gameplay truly is the cream of the crop here. However, with how unique it is, you have to ask, is it too different from other shooters? Change is a touchy subject because everyone likes different levels of it. However, the general consensus is this. If you change nothing, people get angry and want change, get bored, and look for something new. But if you change too much, it messes up what they're used to, and they will also go looking for something else.
That last part, I sort of disagree with. They won't always go looking for something else, because sometimes they really just love what the core is. For sure, heavy on the number one. Number two, though, I don't agree with as much.
Novelty and familiarity. I've spent the former of this video discussing how unique the game is, but honestly, it might be too big of a jump for some people. Another thing that drastically turns people off is the control scheme. Splatoon obviously has traditional twin stick controls. However, almost unlike all shooter games on consoles, there's no aim assist, meaning everything is raw input. You're probably asking why, to which there's actually another control scheme in the game, motion controls. This may be the least noob-friendly control scheme available on the market, but oh my god, it's actually amazing. It brings the precision of a mouse to a controller, and while it takes a while to get used to, once you do, it's basically impossible to go back. Combine the precision of motion controls with the stick for movement, and this game is truly
right there. You just killed any chance of any casual player ever playing this game. Absolutely not. First off, the precision of a mouse is a very loaded thing to say. I'm going to go on a limb and say, I think someone on motion controls and me on a mouse and keyboard, or even like, you know, maybe even someone who has better aim than me, went off against each other. I am winning those fucking battles 80% of the time. There is no fucking shot that motion controls are going to bridge the gap between my ability to be accurate on a mouse and keyboard and a controller's. That is the whole reason aim assist exists.
Really a joy to play.
And also trying to think in fucking Joe, who's just got back from his fucking 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 working as a mechanic and just got home and wants to sit on the couch and play some games, maybe with the boys if they hop on, but half of them are probably either working, tired, someone's making up an excuse, like trying to get everybody on one game and then also getting them all on one game, and you're playing a game where you have to have the ability to do motion control, something you've never learned and never done before. Yeah, GG's, brother. Like, the only way you're ever going to get this is if it was like a new generation of kids played a game like this and they all learned this play style and all learned how to like use motion controls as something that was built into the game, and then it was iterated on in the future in like later games. Learning an entire new input like that for one singular game.
Really a joy to play. Games like Fortnite have started to adopt motion controls in recent times, and for a good reason. It's a great scheme that has a bright future ahead of it. Another thing that might turn people off is the fact that in Splatoon, you don't just kill. In Splatoon,
I don't think gyro controls go crazy in Fortnite though.
You have to play the objective.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong on that.
Just something that can help you do that. There isn't a straight deathmatch mode. You've got to adhere to what you're supposed to do. But with all of this, I still think the vast majority of people who enjoy shooters will be able to adapt no problem. Unfortunately, with all that I've mentioned throughout the video, the game isn't perfect and it does have its fair share of flaws.
83 on Metacritic is pretty good though.
Better days. The online service is absolutely abysmal. The game has a severe lack of content. However, for someone getting into the game, these issues don't mean much at first, and it only becomes a problem once you've been playing for a while and are
the online service one does, that sounds like an anyone problem.
Ready to step into a more competitive side of the game. This game is still truly phenomenal and well worth giving it a shot. If you've made it all the way to the end of the video and are now considering trying the game, I highly recommend it. It truly is one of the most innovative and fun shooter games we've had on the market, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. If you're new here, go check out some other videos on my channel to learn a little more about the game. And if you're already a Splatoon player, this is your excuse to send the video to a friend and get them into the game. Thank you.
Cool video. Good video, actually. I have zero desire still to play Splatoon. Not even to like try it. And I don't think that's not because like it was a bad video. Like the video was great. It was a very good video. One, it being on a Switch is already the #1 turnoff, right? #1 turnoff right there. So I'd have to play on a different platform that like is already really competitive, right? Like I don't think if Switch is a competitive platform and then you're playing on a competitive platform. Like I play a lot of Overwatch, stream a lot of Overwatch. We literally all make fun of the Switch, right? Like the Overwatch on the Switch runs terrible. It is not competitive. It is just I spectated a guy on Switch the other day. Holy like the easy AIs might have beat this whole lobby if they were in there. And so that plus like it being like super movement heavy is not that bad, but I'm also like the target audience. I am the giga nerd that will get good at movement and put hours and time into that. Average casual player absolutely is not doing that. They're not putting that many hours into it. So unfortunately, I think it's probably held back by a lot of things. You know, it is what it is. It's cool. Switch mixes with other lobbies, no. I think you can turn on cross progression, and I think it also depends. I don't know if it does it for ranked. You can definitely turn it on though, but you might be able to turn it off as well. So I'd have to look into that more, but that's not really what I was looking at. But yeah, very good video though. Very good video.